Hello, and welcome back to the Simple Politics podcast. I'm Diane Daniels, and it's half-term week for a lot of the UK, England and Wales, and Parliament. Parliament's on recess this week as well. But as always, that doesn't mean it's quiet. It certainly hasn't felt quiet at SP Towers. Has it, Tatton?
No.
Good answer. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You asked me a question. I've given
hmm
you the answer.
hmm
That's
hmm
a little banter bit at the beginning finished, I think.
Done. Done. It's my own.
Well done,
It's
us.
my own fault. I asked a closed question, and first rule of good questioning: sh-
Mm.
how do you
What's the second rule?
um, smile? I don't know.
Smile and the world smiles with you.
Yeah,
That's what they say, isn't it?
yeah.
So give it a go now, peeps.
I don't know. Is there two rules? Maybe there's just one rule.
Well, in that case, not the first rule.
Mm. Or it is, but first and last.
No, it's just the rule.
Oh, what?
You can't nomenclative up your rules.
Mm.
Not if they are if it's just the rule. It's just the rule. Just the question rule. I suppose you could call it.
You could. Okay, let's take two. How do you feel this week has gone, Tatton?
Oh, am I back in therapy? I had quite a weepy therapy session this week. I don't think anyone wants to hear that. It was we were getting quite deep into the way I feel about myself, which isn't brilliant. So that's more than we need to share at the beginning of this podcast. Anyway, if you enjoy this podcast, you can sign up for £3 a month to Patreon.
Yes, please.
Yes. No, seriously. We love doing this podcast, and we want to do it. We'd love to do it. Like
Mm.
it's really we love A, just chatting amongst ourselves about this stuff, and B, hopefully putting together something useful for you. And what we get from Patreon people is chat, and you chat back to us, and we know our podcast is a community. People DM us on Instagram all the time about our podcast,
Mm.
but our Patreon people, yeah, it's just this lovely group of people, and we get to know them, and it's all good. And yeah, I mean, £3 a month gets you what happens on the Patreon. You get to listen to it without adverts. You get to see the video, like basically 20 minutes after we finish recording it. The video just goes up. It's completely unedited. You see all of Diane's bloopers
Yeah.
when she starts just swearing and just kind of lashing out. Oh, you see all of that. And I think if you want to pay more per month, then you get like a free gift. It's not a free gift, is it? You've paid for it, but you get a gift from us, and you can, if you're on the top tier for long enough, you have a little chat with us.
Mm.
Just come on in, have a little chat. We've done that before. It's quite fun. It's always quite fun to do that. So listen, Patreon's a thing. www.patreon. No one says www anymore, do they?
They
I
don't.
feel like I'm giving you a URL from the
They
60s.
don't.
Patreon.com/simple politics.
Perfect. Thanks, Tatton. Let's go to the top posts of the week. Love this section. So we look across our social media. So you might follow us on Instagram, you might be on Facebook, you might be on X, you could be on YouTube, TikTok, or even LinkedIn, and you'll find us. And
Threads. What's wrong with Threads? Why are you talking about Threads?
sorry, Threads. Sorry. Yeah. Absolutely. That's the full quiver of social media outlets. Find us there. Like, share, comment, do what you do on the posts, and they become the top three of the week. So, in at three this week, what have we got, Tatton?
N3 was this has been rumbling along for a very long time. This has been rumbling along since like day one
Mm.
of the Labour leadership, Labour government, because it became clear that they weren't going to get rid of the 2-child benefit cap. That is basically a rule that says we will only pay benefits for the first 2 children you have. You can have more children. We're not going to stop you having children. That would be a horrific thing to do, but we're not going to pay for them. And there was a vote on that, and the seven Labour MPs,
Oh, you're getting
12,
roughly, yeah. Let's say
something like
around
that,
that mark. Yeah.
voted against. They were kicked out of the party, and they are, yeah. And so this has been rumbling on and on and on because there are studies that say that the two-child benefit cap is putting tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of children
Hmm.
into poverty.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if we paid more, then they wouldn't be in poverty. And children not being in poverty is quite an important thing,
Hmm.
right? If we want to talk about leveling up, we want to talk about equality of opportunity, if we want to talk about the NHS, we've got to stop children being in poverty.
Mm. Yeah.
Right.
Let's face it, like, you know, yeah, just because of the numbers in your family, it's like, yeah. But I think on this one, I think maybe what's so surprising is people just thought Labour would come in and scrap this, right? Because it's very seemingly Labour thing to do to get rid of the child poverty cap. So people thought it would happen, and then were very surprised when the party line was to vote against it, because the message was not yet. We don't have the money yet, right? And so,
Yeah. I mean, that's it. It's going to be very expensive
mm,
to do. And that's why they can't commit to it
mhm,
or won't commit to it. People say they could commit to it if they wanted. But oh my goodness, it's going to be billions and billions and billions, which shows how much is being kept, how many benefits are being kept away from how many children.
mm,
Because an individual child, the benefits they're entitled to
mhm.
aren't massive.
No, no.
But there's enough of them who aren't getting benefits to add up to billions of pounds.
Mm,
I mean, it's just it's messy. I think it was in their manifesto. I think that's why everyone got fired. It was in their manifesto to keep it. And this is what Labour governments often do: is they offer to match Conservative spending plans for the first year.
mm,
So they don't. Um, Ed Miliband did it.
mm,
He didn't win the election, but Ed Miliband said he would match, because you're trying to show you are strong and stable, to use a Conservative term, and that you're not going to screw the economy the second you get your feet into number 11. So I think that's what it's about. It's about fiscal security. They say they can't afford it.
mm. So we might,
There was that.
yeah, so we might hear, because it's part of a whole child poverty strategy, right? So this decision will come, and that's been moved out. So that's been moved out to the autumn, which kind of matches in with the next budget.
It does. It does match in with the next budget, but we know the next budget they're going to do a U-turn on winter fuel, and what? And they like, are they going to do a U-turn? And I get to time it with the budget,
Hmm.
but if you're delaying
Mm.
your child poverty strategy, there are some big questions there.
There are
Delaying
delaying.
your child poverty. Oh, they can just wait.
Mm,
The children that we know are in poverty, that we could do something about, oh, we'll put that off.
mm,
Surely that's one of the most pressing things for any government.
mm, absolutely.
Nothing else can happen. No other long term goals of this country can succeed with children in poverty now. And much more importantly than that, no individual child should be in poverty in our country.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we move on. Post number 2 this
I'm
week.
still
I
cross.
know, and justifiably so, but we'll go on. Number 2.
As long as the number 2 isn't the topic that's going to wind me up, I think we're okay.
Okay. Number two. Let's see. Number two is about water companies and oh, them getting, well, Thames Water in particular, who we have had a lot of Thames Water customers in our comments over the past few years. And Thames Water have been handed Ofwat, the regulators, biggest ever fine in history. And there's definitely, this is about the regulator sort of showing it's got some teeth now, showing that it can um, put these big fines in to actually cause a bit of harm to the water companies, because um, this fine is not insignificant. You know, it's made up of two parts, and one of the parts is kind of 9% of turnover is part of it for wastewater breaches of
Turnover.
turnover. Yeah. Yeah.
Gee.
So that's not insignificant. And then the other part was made up because they paid dividends to shareholders when their performance did not justify it whatsoever.
Mhm.
So they've been done on two counts. And it's obviously for most people seen as quite good news, but I would say there is a healthy degree of also cynicism and skepticism in the comments when I read through them, because people say part of what Ofwat said is customers won't pay for this. This is a fine on the company, and the company should pay and shareholders should pay. But in the comments, people are saying, well, who's going to stop them putting a bill up that might cover that in some way? Um, so while Ofwat are showing they've definitely got the potential to hold water companies to more account, to greater account than they have done in the past, there is still, I'd say, some big trust issues between the public and water companies that will take a long time to get over.
There's a documentary on a podcast documentary on BBC Sounds, I think it is. David Dimbleby did it. He's very authoritative. I don't know if you know him, David Dimbleby, but it's about free market economics and what happened. This is how I spend my time.
Mm.
It's and what happened. It's 6 episodes. It is seriously, seriously, seriously good. And the last episode was about Thames Water, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
about privatizing Thames Water and how a bank in Australia and took on a large group of people and just took on a load of debt to buy Thames Water as a commodity, not because they cared about water or the Thames or anything like that, as a commodity, and just took all the profits out. And when they were first fined, they sold out, and the fine, and then Thames Water was burdened with the fine that they'd been given. The guys who had, like, it's a mess.
Mm.
And other just big corporate companies from around the world have feasted upon Thames Water, and now it's in this state. And that's, it's our biggest city. There's millions, 8 million people live there, and they're suffering with all this shit.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Sorry, that didn't cheer you up any, but let's see if the top post of the week can do that. So, what was number one?
Well, number one was elephant news, and the good news is they have said that we can have elephants in circuses again.
What?
We can. No. It's good. It's great. We're gonna have We're gonna have. They're gonna do like juggling with their trunks and running around the circus with their feet, and it'll make everyone really happy. And you can throw monkey nuts at them, and they'll like catch them. I'm really excited for them. Is that not?
No,
Is that not the post?
no, I'm getting cross now.
No. Oh, no elephants in circuses. Boo! Bring back the circus elephants. No, don't do that. No, it's just a really lovely story. The government has updated the guidance on zoos, and like the last government did it, I think in 2012 or something
Yeah, it's
like
been a
that.
long time. Mm.
So it hasn't been done for a while, and the government just had a look at some zoos and went, "Oh yeah, these elephants, they need a bit more space." So they said there has to be more space for elephants. There has to be more like their natural environment. Zoos, of course, struggle because no one wants to go to a zoo where you just walk past empty enclosures. Right? We've all been to zoos that are really good, like good zoos, but you don't see any animals because they're all off in their habitats having a great time, right? But also, you can't have just like a fence around the lion
Mm.
where everyone can see it. So the zoos have most zoos are commercial. They rely entirely on people giving them money at the gate. Right, they're not charities, or if they are, they don't get much charity money. They rely on people coming in, which is why you get zoos with such good playgrounds,
Yeah.
right? Which is why you get zoos with all kinds of added extras,
Good cafes.
good cafes, whatever it might be.
Mm.
We've got a zoo around here that I'm always uncomfortable at. In fact, I never go, but they
Mhm.
do school trips there, and I hate it because when I went, once it was like these enclosures are too small, but they're a commercial zoo and they need people to see the animals.
Mm.
So what happens when animal welfare is threatened by commercial necessity is the government have to step in.
Mhm.
And the government have to step in and say, this is not okay.
Mhm.
I was obviously joking about the elephants in circuses, but why do they have elephants in circuses? Because it made them money, right? They were cruel to those elephants, but it made them money. So that to stop that happening, the government needed to intervene and say, yeah, don't do that anymore,
Mm.
idiots. Um, so elephants in particular, specifically elephants, need a bit more space. There was also you can't, like, you've got touching areas in some aquariums,
Yeah.
and like stingrays, like touching, like not like a sea anemone, but touching a living, breathing, intelligent. Sorry, sea anemones. Maybe you're also very intelligent. I don't mean to. I'll alienate our sea anemone listeners. But touching stingrays, that's gone. That's bad. That's out.
Yeah, that
So
that felt like, you think the footfall of children poking a stingray through, on any
yeah,
given
yeah, yeah.
day. You
Who have just been eating sticky
Yeah,
sweets.
yeah,
It's disgusting.
yeah.
And then there's one on birds
Mm.
who can't be kept chained to a stump of wood all the time.
Mhm.
Like it's just for long periods, so they can come out and do displays. The amazing bits when the eagle flies over your head and catches the shrew that's being chucked up to it, or whatever's going on.
Mm.
That's fine, but overnight, and when they're not displaying, they cannot be tethered
Mhm.
to a stand. They have to be in a nice big aviary, which makes sense because they like to fly. That's their thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if you go to a zoo and all the birds are tethered to their little houses, all in a nice long row, you get to see all the birds close. Again, the government's got to step in and look after the animals, and happens with humans as well, where corporate greed or just profiteering can happen from not being nice to humans. I mean, look at human trafficking. The government tries to stop it as much as it can then, but if money can be made, people are going to do it. So the government needs to step in and do everything it can to stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. Interested. We don't it's one, like you said, like it's probably been 10 or so years since it's last been looked at. So it's nice when you have these bits of guidance that you kind of go like, oh God, I forgot that the government were responsible for all this stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, really, really different this week, really different top three. So keep liking, sharing, and letting us know which posts you'd like us to talk about. And yeah,
Gosh, you're so slick, Diane.
so slick.
I
So
love it when you
slick.
come over all, strictly professional.
Not quite David
You're such a
Dimbleby. Not
YouTuber.
quite.
You're not David Dimbleby, but you're more Mr. Beast. Is that his name?
You can't say that and then go, is that his name?
Is that? Is not, I didn't want to sound silly.
Yes, that's his name. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's who you're being.
yeah.
Don't forget to like, share. I mean,
Like,
is that what you? Because
share,
I must say that
subscribe.
stuff all
Like,
the
share, and
time.
subscribe.
Subscribe, yeah,
Yeah, that's
subscribe.
they're the big 3, I think. And then we need to
Mm.
bring out a range of chocolate, Simple Politics chocolate, and then we're made.
Oh, I'd be so up for that.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, watch this space. But first, let's go to the mailbag. Let's look at your questions that have come in through DMs or through stories this week. And we've got 3, which is really good. So let's go to question 1. It's from Tegwin, who asks, she says, I saw a petition that asked MPs to attend every debate. Oh, I think I've seen this, like an e-petition doing the rounds.
Is it a big one?
And it says, would this be counterproductive, to make them be present for all debates, or are they missing out on vital presentations?
I think I've not seen this one because I haven't got an effective ad blocker on my computer, but I do have an effective. Oh, shut up! What a stupid petition blocker on my computer. So that's why this one hasn't reached my eyes. No, MPs should not go. I mean, like compelled. So first of all, right? Oh my goodness, there's so much here. Tegwin, thank you. Tegwin, by the way, is a Patreon, and we love Tegwin very very much. An MP once an MP is elected, they then represent you, the voter, your constituency, in any way they see fit. They have no boss.
Mhm.
They can do whatever they want. That's legal. I mean, if they start to break the law or whatever, then they're out. But they can do whatever they want. So if there's a debate they want to go to, they can go to it. So if you were to somehow compel an MP to go to every single debate, I don't even know how that would work. You'd have to pass a law, I suppose, to make it. So yeah, I mean, first of all, it's nonsensical, but second of all, MPs do a lot of different things. Like a lot of different things. They do casework, helping out their constituents. They do select committees, looking into really important parts of law. In fact, Diane said the select committee is her favourite thing
It is.
about Parliament, and I don't disagree with her. They're really, 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 really important, and they meet. They can just meet with all kinds of people, including people who might be relevant to debates that are coming up or relevant to their constituents. They can do all kinds of things. That they do making charity representations. They can go lobbying for people. Like there's a whole load of things they're doing, and some of the debates in Parliament are particularly pointless. Like you get general debates where everyone stands up and says how good veterans are, for example. And while it's nice to acknowledge the things that a veteran has done for our country. Things that previous people in the armed forces, well done them. I'm not saying we shouldn't be talking about that, but I'm saying that the idea of forcing 650 MPs to be in the chamber to talk about that is ludicrous. Now, what they have to, what they should all be doing, what mostly they all do is vote. When you're in Parliament, when you're in the parliamentary state, everywhere you are, there are screens saying who's talking and what's happening, and you can get monitors up saying what's going on. And so you can watch. You can be in your office doing lots of work, watching a debate very well, and then a bell goes off across the whole estate. Ding, da, ding, da, ding, da, ding. It goes. In case you weren't sure how a bell sounds, and you then get up and vote, and you've got 8 minutes. Got 8 minutes from when that bell starts to get to the chamber and vote. And so some people's offices are quite far away, and they peg it through, and that's when they express their opinion and they represent their constituency that way.
Mm.
If they had to be in every debate, they couldn't do anything else.
Mm. Yeah, because
Like
it's
anything
long
else.
days, isn't it? Like that's what people like. They're often there till like 10 o'clock at night. Like these debates are like full on, right?
Yeah, and like on Wednesdays, they have like Scotland
Hmm.
questions, right? Or Northern Ireland questions or Wales questions.
Hmm.
Should every MP be in there while the SNP question the Labour minister for Scotland? Like, But it's rather than being in a select committee, rather than being it, this kind of petition demonstrates such a lack of understanding of what an MP does, and such the idea of starting a petition with that lack of understanding. I think maybe what the person who set the petition up wants is a completely different system of representative democracy. And we could have that, like that could be a conversation, but we can't make this change under this system.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably not necessarily that person's fault for not understanding that. It's just that people see the chamber, and if you turned on to BBC Parliament on any given day and you saw, oh, this is a debate around, women's rights, and there's 20 to
There's no
30
wrong there.
people,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course you're going to question that if you don't know
Yes.
what else
Yes.
MPs are doing.
But especially at the beginning of debates, it's always busier. Always, always, always. Lots of people, and they try and get their point in by intervening, which is a technical thing they can do. And then they leave. So if you come in on the end. But Diane, I accept your point that it might not be it's not the person who started the petition's fault they don't understand the system, but it is the person who started the petition's fault that they started a petition about something they don't understand. Right? I'm happy. Like, of course, not everyone knows about Parliament. That's fine. Come see us. We'll sort you out. But don't start petitions about things. I'm not gonna start a petition about like brain surgery. Like brain surgeons should be using their left hands more. Like I don't know anything about it. Do you use both hands? Probably.
I think you use a little robot now, don't you? I don't know.
Like a
I
drone.
think so.
Do you like stand in a different room and the drone does it all?
Yeah.
More drones in brain surgery. That's going to be my petition.
E-petition. Great.
Yeah.
But good question, Tegwin. Thank you.
Oh, take one. Yeah,
That was
yeah.
great.
Great
That was
question.
great. Let's go to question 2 because I'd like to get the other 2 in, if that's okay. So, um, Miss C Teacher on Instagram asks, this is such a difficult question. What's stopping the UK from ending its arms sales to Israel?
Oh, that is a difficult question.
Mm.
And it's really complicated. So the UK government doesn't sell, and I'm saying this really slowly because I think this is correct. The UK government doesn't sell directly arms to Israel. What the UK does is license arms deals to happen, which is effectively the same. But so that's why people say they are complicit.
Mhm.
But the other day in the House of Commons, an MP was it Carla Denyer?
Oh, I don't know.
It might have been Carla Denyer. Anyway, an MP asked the Prime Minister, given that you have said it's terrible, why are we still selling arms to
Mhm.
Israel? And he said he didn't want to be technical, but there's a pot into which we send some things, and then from that things, the arms to Israel go, but also the arms to Ukraine and arms to other places that you'd want them to go. So we can't stop immediately our arms to Israel without stopping our arms to other places. And Diane and I have been looking into
Mm.
this. Um, and it's really complicated. And something about an F-35 fighter jet, we make various components of, and then those components go into the fighter jets, and then the fighter jets then get sent off.
Mhm.
And if we stopped, and that's something the UK government specifically is making.
Mhm.
I think. And then, so those go onto the fighter planes, and then the fighter planes are sold by somebody else. And if we stop putting them in, then Ukraine couldn't have any fighter planes. So that's why it's hard to stop, I think. But honestly, it's really difficult. Like, Diane is really clever, and she couldn't find any definitive answer. I got distracted by the BBC Sport website while we were looking, but Diane couldn't find anything. Like no, we were looking hard, and there's some bits that are bits and
Yeah.
bobs here and there, but no one is specific and no one is clear. I think the next stage is to contact the Department of Defense
Hmm.
and see if they can give us an answer,
Yeah.
because I think it's really, it does seem so stupid that this government would say that what's happening in Israel is so bad
Hmm.
and also allow British arms to be used to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it seems obviously stupid.
Yeah.
And this government isn't obviously stupid. So why? Yeah, we should contact the MOD.
Mm, definitely. I think we will try and put something together on this, because it's a subject that I think, we've been asked about a lot, and it's really tricky to get under the detail of this. Um, and like Tatton said, that's the answer that Starmer gave in the past week or so. So we will try and get under the detail and do something else on it on the page, hopefully.
Mm.
So, okay. Question 3.
Hmm.
Okay. Peter asks, again on Instagram, this relates to post 2. Thames Water have just been fined, but what actually happens with the money? If that fine goes to Ofwat, he says they can't force them to spend money on improving their systems, can they?
Well, not like question 2. I don't really know the answer to this because there's so much that's so murky and we do okay for understanding what's going on with this stuff, but there's limits to what we get. My hunch is that the money goes into the treasury, which is the like where all the money from tax goes. Um, that's much my hunch. And can we force them to do it? Well, we can force them to be fined more if they don't.
Mm.
You know,
Hmm.
like that's their job. Like presumably they want to avoid these fines, and they've been fined like record amount this time. So maybe that's going to be enough
Hmm.
to stop it.
Yeah, and they can certainly, I would say, as a regulator, they can certainly ask for updates and records, and where's your project plan for updating the leaky pipes on the south side of the Thames? They can ask for all this stuff, I guess. But
Yeah. Whether that makes a difference, I don't know.
yeah, yeah, I think it's very early days with Ofwat and its new powers, and
Yeah.
I think we will.
Uh,
Yeah,
it's just infuriating, isn't it? And like I say, so murky, like, and the structure is so murky, like, and it's all.
yeah. Yeah, tricky. So sorry, Peter, that's not a complete answer, but it's a
No, but Peter, it's the same as Miss C teacher. Like, we actively discussed this before coming on,
mm,
and we said we wanted to take on these questions, even though we don't know the answer necessarily, because it's important to see that we're incompetent. That it's important to see that the politics is difficult,
mm,
right?
yeah,
Working out is difficult, and again, I mean, it feeds back to Tegwin's question in part 1. If an MP is looking into this stuff, then they can really look into this stuff and find out what's going on. But that means they can't be in the chamber for something else. Because that's how this works. It's not when you become an MP you suddenly know everything. So you can have a hunch. We've got a hunch on both questions. We can say what's been said on both questions. But I'm sorry that we can't give you a full answer.
yeah, yeah. But again, I imagine we will be doing lots more about water regulation and fines in due course. Um,
Yeah.
which leads us nicely, seamlessly, onto our main section where we're going to look at nationalisation or renationalisation for some of it. Obviously, we've been chatting a lot about water in this episode. Thames Water has been taken to task for its performance. In the comments section, I would say 3/4 of people said nationalise it, under this. And primarily because trust in private companies, like we said, is so broken. But is that something we think Labour are even considering? Is public ownership something they're thinking about for other industries? Let's uh, let's chat about that.
Yeah, I mean, let's chat about it. We need to put a bit of context in here. Is that into the 70s, all of these companies were publicly owned, and then they were just really inefficient because if there's no competition, things go badly wrong. British Rail
Mm.
was a laughing stock with delays and breakdowns and all kinds of things going on. And the Thatcher government and a whole economic movement before Thatcher said that what we need is competition. Because if you've got two of you, then you've got to be better than the other guy. And that could be more efficient or cheaper or whatever
Mhm.
else. And if you have one that's more efficient and one that's cheaper, then at least you get a choice. Which you go for, like we all know Every's terrible, right? But it's cheapest. So you can go with it with a package delivery service that may or may not get there, right? But it's cheaper than, I don't know, DHL, whoever's good, right? That's privatization at work. And that's literal privatization because it used to just be only Royal Mail,
Yeah.
right? No one else was allowed to do it. Royal Mail was publicly run. So you look at that. However many postal services there are now, and that shows competition in the market, giving us more choice. None of it's particularly cheap, but then the costs have gone up. So who knows? And certainly, I don't think it'd have been cheaper if Royal Mail still had a monopoly on it. So that's how it's supposed to be. And Labour were always very much against it. They want to keep things owned by the government.
Mhm.
Because, of course, the argument against it is that every time you buy something from a nationalised service, that money goes back into the government.
Yeah.
No profits are taken out by fat cats in, I don't know where fat cats live, Wales. The money stays in. Whereas if you've privatized it and you have all these little companies zipping about being efficient and cheap or whatever, that money is going out in
Yeah.
profits. And the Labour government have always said, no, we should have nationalisation for everything. And now they don't really feel that way because this isn't the Labour Party of old. This isn't Neil Kinnock. Tony Blair was a big fan of privatisation. Tony
He
Blair
was.
continued the privatisations that
Yeah.
Thatcher started because he believed we could use privatisation and we use private companies and national government to better achieve his government's aims. Building skills for the future was one thing that affected me because I was a teacher at the time. So trains.
Mm.
They are taking back into public control because it's hard to have actual competition on one train line,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
hard
yeah.
to it's hard to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
You can either choose DHL or UPS or Every or Royal Mail, like that's fine. But if there's only one train line, now there are some lines that are shared, and you do have, and there are kind of competition things, and more competitions coming to Eurostar actually, which is really interesting. But Great British Rail, when your license comes to an end,
Mhm.
they can just not give out again.
Mhm.
So it's a really easy way to de facto nationalize everything, or the whole network, and then it's going to be in control. And it's going to be better. There's like if British Steel, it was used as an emergency. No one really wanted British Steel to be run by the government. It doesn't really make anything better to be run by the government. But if another company is going to put it in the bin, then we'll be like, oh, no, 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 we'll save that. And then, like water, back to where we started, water should never have been privatized in the first place because you cannot introduce competition
Mm,
on water.
mm. And because
It comes from one
it's an
place.
essential service, right?
Oh, but I think essential services can be privatized. The post is essential service,
Mm,
like we're talking about. Broadband's essential service, and that's not British Telecom. It used to be a nationalised industry, and now you've got all kinds of places that do broadband. I think essential services can be privatized, just not ones that are by necessity a monopoly,
mm,
because then you're just handing a monopoly to a private company rather than keeping the monopoly for yourself.
mm,
If it's a monopoly, if it's essential services that cannot be made more efficient, and there is no reward for making it more efficient, then you're just going to get companies taking a profit out, which is what we're talking about earlier.
mm,
It makes no sense to privatize, and I can see arguments for and against privatizing pretty much everything else, but water, it's a mess.
yeah. But Keir Starmer's not going to privatise water, not going to renationalise water, right? His approach is going to be make the regulator stronger rather
Yeah,
than take back
but you
control.
can't. You can't nationalize water
Mm,
like we can't nationalize all electricity because water is owned by private
mm,
companies. And you can't suddenly introduce a law that says we can forcibly buy something off you that you do not want to sell. An absolute the opposite of what you can do in a capitalist society.
mm,
And listen, you might not like capitalism and whatever on that, but we live. That's how we live, and that's how the government. That's the strategy and the structure the government accepts. And if you can't force someone to sell you, especially when they're foreign people. EDF,
yeah,
the electricity
yeah.
company, are owned. It is a nationalized company, but it's a French nationalized company. The French government own it. Like, so we can't force the French government to sell us something. The French government don't want to. That would force a war between the UK and France. We'd have Dunkirk all over again with all our holidaymakers sat on the beaches waiting for the small boats to come and pick them up as they flee Macron's ire.
Wow, that escalated.
Well, no, but this is the thing. This is why we can't undo it.
Mm,
Because things have been sold, and once they're sold, you can't get them back. Things have been licensed, like
hmm
British Rail,
hmm
we can get them back easily. And the way we're doing the energy is by being basically creating a rival.
mm,
So when you go on compare the Meerkat or whatever you choose, it'll give you the EDF number of how much it's going to cost you, and then also the Great British Rail, and then Eon or whatever else. So we'll be on there to compete, and then hopefully everyone will move away naturally and be patriotic and come to Great British, not Great British Rail, Great British Energy, and everyone's going to do that.
mm,
I probably will if it's all renewable
mm.
and it's the same price. I would.
Yeah,
Would you swap to
pri-
Great British Energy?
price dependent.
Well, yeah, I mean that's it, isn't
Price,
it? No
price
one,
dependent.
everyone's happy to be patriotic,
Yeah,
but if it costs a few more pence,
yeah,
push off. I'm going with the French, mate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Vive la énergie. Um, okay, so pragmatism on nationalisation is Stormer's byword. Nothing happening with water, but plenty happening with real. In conclusion,
Like that's basically everything I just said, isn't it?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
just better
No,
and
not
quicker.
better,
Yeah.
quicker, quicker. Yes.
I think the listeners who are still with us are like, well, yeah, yeah, that's it.
Oh, but it. again, we're beautifully on time to head into the crystal ball section and see what is coming up next week. I've got a bit of a confession here because I will not be here on next week's podcast, lovely listener. But you're in for a treat because it's going to be Tatton and Tiernan, who is a
Um,
genuine good podcaster.
oh no, he's a genuine good podcaster. He doesn't love
Yeah.
podcasting for his thing, but just a word of warning. Our, when we all hang out, like because he's a personal friend of mine, we Katie, my fiance, just laughs at us for just chatting constantly and never stopping talking. So if you think this is a bad episode because I've spoken far too much, and let's face it, it is, you might just want to skip over next week's chat. I didn't know, but listen, if you are majestically still here, thank you for being with us. And yeah, next week Tiernan's going to be here. He is wonderful. He's a slick professional. He had a politics podcast way before we did, although he binned his off, and we're still going. So I think that makes us silly and him clever.
Well, it'll be great. I will be tuning in. I'll be tuning in, even though I'll be carefree and
From the beach.
yeah, yeah, that kind of thing. A UK beach, but still a beach nonetheless. So we will see you in 2 weeks for me, but next week for Tatton. Tune in.
Do I not get to say what's coming up next week?
You can do. I thought we'd naturally moved on, but you can do. What's coming up next week,
No,
Tatton?
I think it's going to be really interesting because Jeremy Corbyn has his moment on Gaza in the
Mm,
House of Commons, and it's fallen. I don't know how he's managed to swing this as an independent MP. And independent MPs tend to have less power to do it, but he's swung it so that his 10-minute rule motion is straight after PMQs on Wednesday.
mm,
It's going to be a must watch. It'll be 12:40
yeah,
on Wednesday lunchtime.
mm,
It'll be a must watch. Tune in, see what happens.
fantastic. Okay, bro. Great. Well, we will see you then. Thank you again for listening. A reminder of the Patreon, it's patreon.com/simple politics. And see you all in a fortnight. Bye bye.
Bye 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 bye.